Your hands are sweating, heart's pounding. She's right there, 10 feet away, and you've got about 4 seconds before the moment evaporates completely. You know what happens next, right? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You freeze, overthink, and walk away telling yourself you'll do it next time. Except next time never comes, because you're stuck in the same loop that's kept you single and frustrated for way too long. Let me tell you something that nobody else will. The reason you can't approach girls has nothing to do with your looks, your height, or your bank account. It's simpler and stupider than that. You've convinced yourself there's a perfect moment, a perfect line, a perfect version of you that needs to exist before you can take action. And while you're waiting for perfect, real opportunities are walking right past you. I spent 2 years paralyzed by this exact problem. 2 entire years watching chances disappear while I stood there like a statue, mentally rehearsing conversations that would never happen. Want to know what changed everything? I stopped trying to be ready and started being honest. Not smooth, not rehearsed, just real. Here's what actually works. Forget every pickup line you've ever heard. Seriously, delete them from your brain right now. Those scripted openers, they make you sound like you're reading from a telemarketer's handbook. Girls can smell that manufactured confidence from across the room, and it's not attractive. It's weird. The guys who consistently meet women aren't using magic words or secret techniques. They're doing something radically different. They're approaching without attachment to outcome. That means they genuinely don't care if she's interested or not. They're just curious, friendly, and willing to find out. Think about the last time you talked to someone when you had zero agenda. Maybe a cashier, maybe someone asking for directions. You were relaxed, natural, probably even funny without trying. That version of you, that's who she actually wants to meet. Not the performer, not the guy trying to impress her. Just you, minus the desperation. But how do you get there when your brain is screaming that everything matters? You rewire the whole game. Instead of treating each approach like a high-stakes audition where rejection means you're worthless, you treat it like data collection. You're a scientist running experiments. Some work, some don't. All of them teach you something. I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a mindset trick, some positive thinking nonsense that doesn't change reality. Wrong. This shift is everything because it removes the pressure that's currently strangling your ability to be normal. When you're not attached to her saying yes, you stop acting like a desperate car salesman and start acting like a human being she might actually enjoy talking to. Let's get specific. You see someone you want to meet. Your instinct is to wait, plan, and rehearse. That instinct is your enemy. The longer you wait, the more your brain invents reasons why this won't work. You've got a 3-second window. See her, move toward her, open your mouth. That's it. What do you say? Anything honest. Comment on something in the environment. Ask a genuine question. Make an observation. It doesn't matter as long as it's true and it comes from you, not from some article you read about negging or peacocking or whatever ridiculous strategy someone's selling this week. Here's an example. You're in a coffee shop. She's reading a book. Instead of crafting the perfect literary reference or pretending you've read Dostoevsky when you haven't touched a book since high school, you could just say, "Is that any good? I need something new to read and I'm tired of picking duds." Simple, real, zero pressure. She either engages or she doesn't. If she does, you have a conversation. If she doesn't, you just saved yourself from wasting time on someone who wasn't going to be interested anyway. Both outcomes are wins when you frame it right. The problem most guys have is they're trying to convince her to like them. That's backwards. You should be figuring out if you even like her beyond the fact that she's attractive. Does she have a sense of humor? Is she interesting? Can she hold a conversation, or does she just give one-word answers and stare at her phone? This flip in perspective changes everything. You're no longer auditioning for her approval. You're both feeling each other out to see if there's anything worth exploring. Equal playing field, mutual curiosity, actual human interaction instead of some weird performance art. Now, I'm not saying looks don't matter or that chemistry isn't real. They do, and it is, but you can't discover any of that standing 15 feet away, imagining scenarios. You've got to actually talk to her. And yeah, rejection is part of this. Let's not pretend it isn't. Some girls won't be interested. Some will have boyfriends. Some will just be having a bad day and not want to chat. None of that is about you personally unless you make it about you. Every rejection is just someone saying, not right now, not for me. That's it. It's not a referendum on your value as a human. The faster you internalize that, the faster you stop taking it personally and start seeing it as part of the process. What most guys don't realize is that the approach itself is where you build genuine confidence. Not from YouTube videos, not from reading articles, from actual repetition in the real world where stakes exist and outcomes vary. You don't build confidence by thinking about it. You build it by doing the thing that scares you, surviving it, and realizing the world didn't end. Then you do it again and again, until the thing that used to make your palms sweat becomes just another Tuesday. But there's a catch. You can approach 100 women and learn absolutely nothing if you're doing it wrong. Quality matters. Intention matters. If you're just walking up, vomiting words, and hoping something sticks, you're wasting everyone's time, including your own. So what does a good approach actually look like? It starts with presence. Before you even say a word, you need to be present in your own body. Not in your head rehearsing lines or catastrophizing outcomes. In your body. Feet on the ground, breathing normal, aware of your surroundings. This sounds basic, but most guys are so trapped in their own anxiety spiral, they approach like a malfunctioning robot. She can feel that. Everyone can feel that. Desperation has a frequency, and it repels people faster than bad cologne. When you're actually present, your tonality changes. Your body language changes. You stop looking like you're about to ask her to co-sign a loan. You look like someone who's comfortable existing in the same space as another human without needing anything from them. That comfort is magnetic. It's rare. Most people walk around either trying to impress everyone or hiding from everyone. When you show up relaxed and real, it stands out. Now let's talk about what happens after the approach. This is where most guys fumble. They get the conversation started and then immediately run out of gas because they never planned past hello. They treat the approach like it's the finish line when it's actually the starting blocks. Conversation isn't a script. It's not a performance. It's a collaborative exploration where both people contribute and see where it goes. If you're doing all the talking, it's a monologue. If you're asking questions like you're conducting an interview, it's an interrogation. Neither of those is a conversation. The trick is curiosity. Actual curiosity. Not the fake kind where you ask questions because some dating coach told you to. Real interest in what she's saying. When she mentions something, follow the thread. Ask why. Share something related from your own life. Build momentum together. Most conversations die because one person stops contributing. They give boring answers. They don't ask anything back. They wait for the other person to carry the entire interaction. Don't be that person. If she says she's into photography, don't just nod and say cool like you're a broken NPC. Ask what she likes to shoot. Tell her about a photo you saw recently that stuck with you. Mention a place in the city with great light. Give her something to work with. This isn't rocket science. It's just basic human exchange. But you'd be shocked how many people forgot how to do this because they've been swiping on apps for so long they forgot what organic conversation feels like. Here's another thing nobody talks about. Energy management. Every interaction costs energy. If you're nervous or forcing it, you're burning through your tank fast. That's why guys approach one girl, get rejected, and feel like they need a nap. They're doing it wrong. When you approach from a grounded place without attachment to outcome, it barely costs you anything. You're just talking. She's either into it or she's not. Either way, you're fine. You move on with your day. This is why inner work matters. Not in some abstract meditate on a mountaintop way. In a practical, this affects your results way. If your self-worth is tied to whether random women validate you, every rejection will wreck you. If your self-worth is internal and stable, rejection becomes information, not devastation. You start to notice patterns. Certain types of openers work better in certain environments. Certain types of women respond to certain energies. You're not guessing anymore. You're learning. And yeah, sometimes you'll meet someone and the chemistry is just there. Instant. Effortless. Those moments are rare and you can't force them, but you also can't experience them if you never put yourself out there in the first place. The guys who are good with women aren't good because they have some secret technique. They're good because they've had hundreds of interactions. They've learned what works through trial and error. They've been rejected enough times that it doesn't sting anymore. They've had enough conversations that they know how to read social cues and adjust in real time. You can't download that. You can't watch a video and suddenly have it. You have to earn it through repetition. So where does that leave you? Simple. You've got a choice. You can keep watching from the sidelines, imagining scenarios, wondering what if, or you can accept that the only way forward is through the awkwardness, through the rejection, through the learning curve that everyone who's ever been good at this had to go through. Nobody's coming to save you. No perfect line will solve this. No magic mindset shift will make it effortless. There's just you, the decision to try, and whatever happens next. The question is whether you're willing to be uncomfortable long enough to get comfortable. Most people aren't. That's where most guys tap out. They hit the first wave of discomfort and retreat. They tell themselves they'll try again when they're more ready, more confident, more whatever. Except that day never comes because confidence isn't a prerequisite. It's a result. You don't build confidence by thinking about approaching women. You build it by approaching women and surviving the experience. Every single time. And surviving doesn't mean succeeding. It means not dying from embarrassment when she's not interested. It means realizing that the world doesn't end when someone says no. It means understanding that your value as a human being isn't determined by whether a stranger at a coffee shop wants to keep talking to you. Once you internalize that, everything changes, because now rejection isn't failure, it's just data. She wasn't interested. Okay, why? Was your energy off? Did you approach at a bad time? Was she clearly busy and you missed the signs? Or was there just no chemistry and that's perfectly fine? You start thinking like a scientist instead of a victim. And scientists don't get emotional about failed experiments. They adjust variables and try again. But let's get tactical, because theory only gets you so far. You need a framework, something you can actually use the next time you see someone you want to talk to. Here it is. 3-second rule. You see her, you go. No hesitation. No standing there building up courage while your brain generates 47 reasons why this is a terrible idea. You just move. The longer you wait, the more your mind works against you. It'll invent entire disaster scenarios that haven't happened and never will. Cut that off at the source. Walk up. Make eye contact. Smile like you're genuinely happy to be alive, not like you're about to ask her to join a cult. Open with something real, not a line, not some scripted garbage you memorized from a forum. Just say what you're actually thinking in that moment. Hey, I know this is random, but I saw you and thought you seemed interesting. I'm Alex. Done. No tricks, no games. Just honest intent delivered without apology. Now she responds. Maybe she lights up. Maybe she's polite but distant. Maybe she's confused. Read the room. If she's engaged, keep going. Ask her name. Make an observation about something nearby. Find common ground fast. If she's clearly not into it, be gracious. No worries, have a great day. Then leave. Don't linger like a wounded animal hoping she'll change her mind. Respect the no and move on with your dignity intact. Here's what separates guys who get good from guys who stay stuck. The ones who get good don't internalize rejection. They externalize it. They understand that compatibility is specific, not universal. Just because one woman isn't interested doesn't mean the next 5 won't be. They play the numbers without being robotic about it. They stay human, they stay warm. They don't let repeated rejection turn them cold or bitter. The stuck guys do the opposite. One bad interaction and they're writing manifestos about how dating is broken and women are impossible. They take everything personally. They make it mean something about their worth. And because they're operating from that wounded place, they start approaching with resentment instead of genuine interest. Women pick up on that instantly. Nobody wants to talk to someone who's already decided they're the villain before the conversation even starts. So you have to manage your own psychology. This is the part nobody wants to hear because it's not tactical. It's not a trick you can deploy. It's just emotional maturity. You have to be okay with yourself first. Not perfect, not fully healed, not completely confident. Just okay. Comfortable enough in your own skin that another person's opinion of you doesn't shatter your entire self-concept. That means doing the work outside of approaching women. Taking care of yourself. Building a life you actually like. Having friends. Having hobbies. Having something going on that isn't just obsessing over your dating life. Because when you have that foundation, talking to women stops being this high-stakes life-or-death scenario. It's just one part of a full life. And that energy, that groundedness, that's what actually attracts people. Women can tell when you need them versus when you want them. Need is desperate. It's clingy. It's energetically draining. Want is light. It's playful. It's take it or leave it. But I'd enjoy getting to know you if you're up for it. Guess which one gets better results? This is also why guys who are already in relationships tend to get more attention. They're not trying. They're not broadcasting need. They're just existing in their own secure energy, and people are drawn to that. You don't need to be in a relationship to access that energy. You just need to stop making every interaction with a woman feel like your entire future depends on it. Practice non-attachment. Approach because you're curious, not because you need validation. Talk because you enjoy connecting with people, not because you're desperately trying to fill a void. Be willing to walk away from any interaction at any moment if it's not working. That freedom, that willingness to let go, that's where real confidence lives. And yeah, you'll still get nervous sometimes. That's fine. Nerves aren't the enemy. Letting nerves stop you is the enemy. Feel the nervousness and do it anyway. Over time, the nervousness fades. Not completely, but enough that it stops being a barrier. What felt terrifying at approach number 1 feels routine by approach number 50. And that's the real shift. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about repetition making you comfortable with who you already are. You're not developing a fake persona. You're shedding the anxiety that was covering up your actual personality the whole time. The guys who struggle think they need to become more interesting or funnier or cooler, but most of the time they're already fine. They're just so locked up with fear that none of their actual personality comes through. They're performing instead of being. Women can feel that. They can sense when someone's putting on an act versus when someone's genuinely relaxed in their own presence. So the real work isn't learning lines or routines. It's approaching enough times that you stop performing and start just being yourself in conversations with attractive women. That's when things click. That's when you stop wondering what to say next because you're actually listening and responding like a normal human instead of running scripts in your head. And here's something most guys don't realize. Women are often just as nervous as you are. They're also wondering if they're saying the right thing. They're also worried about how they're coming across. The difference is they've been socialized to hide it better. But that nervousness is there, which means when you show up genuinely relaxed and present, you're actually making the interaction easier for both of you. You're creating safety. You're setting a tone that lets both people just be normal instead of playing some weird high-stakes game. That's attractive. Not because it's some strategic move, but because it's rare. Most people are so caught up in their own anxiety that they can't hold space for someone else. When you can, you stand out. Not by trying to stand out, but by being the one person who isn't making everything weird and tense. Now let's talk about what happens after you've made the approach, because that's where a lot of guys fumble. They finally work up the courage to start a conversation, and then they don't know how to move it forward. They end up in these pleasant but going nowhere exchanges that fizzle out into nothing. You need to understand the purpose of the initial conversation. It's not to become best friends on the spot. It's not to have some magical connection moment that she'll remember forever. It's just to establish enough rapport that asking for contact info feels natural instead of random. That's it. You're building a bridge to the next interaction. So you don't need to have the most fascinating conversation of her life. You just need to be pleasant, normal, and then move things forward before the interaction gets stale. Most guys wait too long. They keep talking past the natural endpoint because they're afraid to make the ask. Then the energy drops and it becomes awkward to suddenly request her number. The right time to ask is when the conversation is still going well, not after it's already dying. You want to leave on a high note. That means paying attention to the flow. If you're both laughing, or she just shared something personal, or the vibe is good, that's your window. Don't overthink it. Just say you have to go, but you'd like to continue this conversation sometime. Then ask for her number, or Instagram, or whatever. Simple, direct, not apologetic, not overly elaborate. Just a clear statement of intent. And if she says no, you accept it gracefully and move on with your day. No guilt tripping, no demanding explanations. Just a quick no worries, take care, and you're gone. That's class. That's respect. And honestly, that's also strategy because women talk to each other. If you handle rejection well in front of her friends or in a social setting, that gets noticed. You build a reputation as someone who's confident but not pushy, that opens doors later. But if you get bitter or weird when rejected, that closes doors permanently. People remember how you made them feel, especially in moments where you didn't get what you wanted. Show that you can handle disappointment like an adult, and you'll earn respect even from people who aren't interested in dating you. And over time, that respect compounds. You become known as a good guy who's comfortable talking to women without being creepy about it. That's social proof. That's status. And it makes future approaches easier because people have already heard you're normal. So, yeah, approaching women in person is a skill. But it's not some mystery art form reserved for genetic lottery winners. It's just repeated exposure, plus basic social awareness, plus emotional maturity. Do it enough times and you'll get comfortable. Stay curious and non-needy, and you'll get results. Handle rejection without turning into a villain, and you'll build a reputation that serves you long term. None of this is complicated. It's just uncomfortable at first. But discomfort is the price of growth in every area of life. This one's no different. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect version of yourself, stop. You're ready enough right now. You'll learn the rest by doing. Start today. Approach one woman this week, just one, see what happens, then do it again next week and the week after that. 6 months from now, you'll be a completely different person. Not because you changed who you are, but because you finally let who you are actually show up. Look, nobody's going to do this for you. Not me, not your friends, not some magic epiphany that strikes you at 3 a.m. while you're scrolling through Instagram feeling sorry for yourself. You either decide you're done being the guy who watches life happen to other people, or you stay exactly where you are right now. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Staying where you are is a choice too. Inaction is a decision. Every day you don't approach someone is a day you're actively choosing to remain stuck. So what's it going to be? Are you going to keep collecting excuses and what ifs? Or are you actually going to move? Because the version of you that's confident with women already exists. He's just buried under years of overthinking and fear. Start digging him out. One approach at a time.